We want to look at the conversation regarding the voter transfer exercise that took place over the weekend, last week. The issues that from the fallout of that violence at Kasoa EC office, and very unfortunate happenings there. Let's read that story for you. So 4 people have sustained injuries after violence broke out at the Electoral Commission's office in Kasoa. Now, one of the injured individuals has been transferred to the 37 Military Hospital in Accra due to the severity of his injuries. Violence occurred around 5 a.m. involving members of the NDC and the MPP. Now, according to an eyewitness, the clash erupted over a disagreement regarding the queuing of voters seeking to transfer their votes to their constituency. During the violence, Hawa Koomson, son of incumbent MP Mavis Hawa Koomson, was stabbed in his chest and has since been rushed to the 37 Military Hospital in Accra. Now, some 3 members of the NDC were also injured and placed on admission at the Kasoa Polyclinic. Now, around 4:30, and this is a quote, around 4:30, we got information that there was a misunderstanding over the seating arrangement at the center, and so we got there and noticed the issue was escalating. Hawa Koomson, the son of MP Hawa Koomson, came around and tried to maintain peace, but one gentleman from the NDC resisted and decided to attack Hawa Koomson instead. The police have arrested a gentleman in question, and so we will follow up later. Mike Addy, a constituency secretary for the MPP in Ewutu Senya East, told Citi News. All right. Now, a statement from the NDC Communication Bureau in Ewutu Senya East also condemned the incident, blaming the New Patriotic Party for the troubles. The story goes on, and we can go on and read further. Let me give you a quote here. It says here, we are monitoring closely the actions of the police in dealing with the issues. We have noticed with concern the police decision to take into custody Daniel Techi Mensah, the NDC constituency organizer, and his action. And this action appears selective and raises questions about the impartiality of the police. Portions of the statement read. Let me come to you, Kapiti.
Yeah, a quick one. I think it's important to note that the EC and the Ministry of Interior must up their game on these exercises. You know, I am looking at it from the where I look at it from the EC setting the rules clear and taking up their role. You know, I would liken it to the game of football. They should have a VAR system quickly, where after every incident they should be able to come out and explain things to us. I mean, I don't want to hear party officials telling us what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, they should come out and tell. They have a PRO, for Christ's sake.
But ideally, the police even should be telling us what has gone on. I mean,
exactly.
We've seen the police in less than a few hours come up with statements on issues. So something like this that is high stakes, I think we need to hear from them.
They should quickly do that, and they need to accelerate their reaction. And they should be more proactive than being reactive, you know. I mean, to actually nip these situations in the bud. I think from this issue, this case you heard, I mean, I'll generalize it because I don't look at pockets, I look at the whole entirety. The abuse of party loyalists and citizens during such practices must be taken very seriously. I still do not understand why close to about 8 people were killed during that election 2020. And we've kept quiet. I mean, any government, I mean, any party that wins 2024 should be interested in this matter. It was not, I mean, 8 people to die. You see, you started from somewhere, and then people think it's the norm. That you can, you know, when it's an election time or any process of election, Kalabule way, stand and show your muscles. But that's what we have to sip out of the system. That people should know, look, even when you have a complaint, there should be a desk quickly. I mean, then the security forces take over, and then they neutralize the misunderstanding, then we take the processes where we have to go and protest. We should protest officially. And then we should not segregate. I mean, coming up to say our Koomson's son, I don't want to hear those things.
making
I'm
it
sad
seem
for what happened to him.
making it seem
He's a citizen.
like a priority
Exactly.
because of who he's related to.
So that means if he was Alhaji Musa's son, then it's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the impression?
You notice that the other NDC people didn't have any mentions, and there were 3 other NDC people who were also injured.
You see,
but there's no mention of
let's stop their
names.
Let's stop it already.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to mention name, mention everybody's name. If further you are a journalist, I won't decide what you write. But then, when you mention the names and you want to put it to somebody, I mean, even you are painting the woman in another color. For all you know, he didn't send his son there. His son went there as a citizen. But for them to now have that need to come in and try to maintain, however you put it, is he the one to do that? Do you understand where I'm coming from? I mean, there should be a police officer there. There should be an electoral officer there who's calming things. Yeah, and then, I mean, the Buffalo system, I mean, you have to be there to show your presence, And then when somebody comes there to cause confusion, even your presence alone can actually tame the people down. I think let's generalize this whole discussion into how do we do our systems well. Educate. There should be more education. People should understand and know the rules of the game.
Yeah.
You are picked up, there should be strong. When some of these truants are picked up, it ends up like the parties go and do their own discussions and they release these guys. But if on the front page of your graphic, you saw a list after this process, 35 people jailed for electoral offenses, then we'll wake up.
It will send a strong signal.
That's my take on it.
Let me come to Mr. Thompson. I'm wondering also, in the midst of all this, that how does the police security function in the sense of you're doing an EC level exercise? Where's security? How does somebody cross the security cordons with a knife on his person in order to be able to stab someone? When an altercation takes place, to me, I'm befuddled, by it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, so this breaks into question the level of security the police provide at these registration centers. I mean, there are certain things which, by law, you cannot take to any electoral area. The registration centers are electoral areas. So you cannot take a weapon, you cannot take alcohol within those perimeters. The law provides those restrictions on how persons in these areas should conduct themselves. As to how these weapons find themselves, in these registration centers is something that we must ask the police. I think it's a deficiency on the part of the police, and the police must subsequently check and be sure that, persons going to register are going to be safe from the 2 main political parties' activists. But then again, is it not Hawa Koomson, the woman who went to pull a gun some time ago? That's the same woman.
Her son.
Her son is the one who has been. Now.
What are you
what's your point?
The Bible says, when you pull the sword, you shall die by the sword. It's not the words of the Bible. That's not my point.
So how does the son pay for the money?
What do you mean?
I'm not saying this to endorse what has happened. I'm just saying this to remind all of us that violence begets violence.
Okay.
It is important that when we are acting, we must always know that the propensity for violence does not lie only within us. Everybody, each of us sitting here, has a propensity for violence. But it is self-restraint and discipline. That is why we can go about our normal business, fairly without any sort of interruptions. And so for a minister of state who thought that in certain situations, the best option was her to pull a weapon. It didn't matter who was there. The weapon could have gone off and hit an innocent person. She didn't care. So when you have a reputation for violence, then in situations where you are involved, that is what everybody knows, that you are a violent person. So coming close to you, I must protect myself. That could probably be the reason why somebody even went to the polling center or registration center with a gun or with a weapon. Because the woman has a history.
In this case, was a knife.
Yes, but a knife for a weapon. The woman has a history of violence. And when she pulled the gun, what happened to her? She's still a member of parliament. She's still a minister of state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just some context. Just looking at how differently the British government dealt with John Benjamin.
Absolutely.
You know, pointing
a gun,
weapon at
a weapon.
Somebody. And it seems from the story, he pointed a gun in jest. It was,
yes.
you know.
But ours was promoted and given a full ministerial position. That shows you, you know, I mean, how we don't respect principles. We undermine our own. I think Mahama made a certain comment recently. I don't know where he made those comments, the former President Mahama, that he was telling the clergy that when they are praying for peace, they must also pray for justice. Because without justice, there is no peace. When this woman pulled a weapon and she was adequately punished and justice was served her constituents, today, when somebody was going to the polling center or registration center, that person is at peace. Because he knows that if anything happens, the state will take action. The state will protect him or her.
Yeah.
But when the people don't have confidence in the system, given the history of the person involved, Hawa Koomson, who doesn't care, can even pull a gun in a church. She walks around with a gun. A minister of state.
You don't know that she walks around with a gun.
So how did she pull the gun? Okay.
But she has bodyguards.
Okay, so how did she pull the gun the other time? If she wasn't working with it?
Well,
or it was just one day?
Some of the stories that I heard,
it was just one
she
day.
took the weapon from one of her bodyguards.
We don't know.
That's one of the stories I heard.
But is she not working with a gun?
But
So if I'm working with my bodyguard, I give a weapon to my bodyguard.
I think at this point we all agree that, you know, like I was saying initially, weapons at where elections, you know.
No, but it's illegal. You can't have that. It's only a security person.
So why did she allow her bodyguard to take a weapon there?
Oh no, but that's a person protecting her.
Huh?
The person
If the bodyguard had a gun on him and it's licensed and approved, that's okay. But for her to even take the gun from the bodyguard, then
that's
that's where you have
the
point. That we should actually see people not wielding weapons at
a police bodyguard or a private bodyguard.
Well, national security also can provide security for a minister.
No, I'm not aware of that. I don't know which one.
The security apparatus can decide what security to provide for any state operator.
I'm saying that a minister, she's a member of parliament.
Right.
Now members of parliament are allocated police protection, right?
Yes, they are.
So.
But even before that.
So why do you need a bodyguard?
No, but
a private bodyguard.
You see,
who walk around
preceding the time, the security apparatus can decide.
Do you think that if it was a police officer, the police officer would have handed her the weapon?
But if she say, I'm collecting the thing from you.
No, the police officer wouldn't let the gun to him.
Yeah, the police officer won't give the gun to him. Because that gun...
Not even the bodyguard. I mean, maybe off the guard. And that should even be questionable to the guard. If anybody... I don't think that was the case. But if that was the case, then the guard also must answer. But because at that point, your armory should be in that...
But in discussing this issue, I think it is important that we let the security agencies understand that in going into these elections, they have a vital role to play. And that role is to instill confidence in the electorate, confidence in the electoral stakeholders, confidence in the political parties, that each of them are going to be accorded equal protection, and that when there's an altercation, each of them are going to be treated equally before the law. In this particular instance, we are aware that even though it was an altercation between two political parties, only one person from the opposition party has been picked up by the police. What about the others? And so when these things happen, they do not engender confidence and trust. The police must be fair and equitable in providing security, in applying our laws when things go wrong. Right. We are not saying don't punish people. Punish people. Apply the law fairly, squarely, and severely when persons find themselves, you know, at the other side of the law. Right. But it must be done fairly and equitably. This principle of discrimination, of granting favors for government officials or persons, you know, known to the government, and treating opposition parties or agents, you know, with impunity, I think that it is important that the police deviates from that and come back to providing fair, transparent, and equitable security and protection for all to instill confidence, so that going into the main elections, when I'm going to the polling station, I have absolutely no need in carrying a weapon. I have absolutely no need for it, because I know that even if something goes wrong, the security agents are there, are going to deal with the matter, and they're going to punish whoever is responsible for that. And I may not, in an attempt to protect myself, may not be treated, you know, unfairly because it involves a government official or persons affiliated to the government.
Thank you. All right.